We've all seen jealousy. Maybe a little snooping on social media or asking a few too many questions. But what happens when that jealousy doesn't just stop at hurt feelings? What happens when it spirals, twisting into something dark, something fatal? Today, we're looking at a case where a woman's envy fueled a calculated, brutal murder that stretched all the way across state lines. This is the story of how a very modern kind of obsession can have deadly, horrifying consequences. Let's get into it. Just imagine hearing those words on a 911 call. When I opened the door, she was on the floor. That single, chilling sentence marks the beginning of a truly horrific discovery, and it kicks off an investigation that would uncover a story of obsession, deception, and just unimaginable violence. So we're going to start right where the police did, with that frantic 911 call that ripped the cover off a brutal crime, hidden away behind a closed apartment door. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's a Wednesday afternoon, July 13th, 2022, in Tamarack, Florida. The call comes in just before 3 p.m., and the man on the line is in such a state of panic he can barely get the address out. A deputy is dispatched to the apartment complex, bracing for whatever they're about to walk into. And what they found inside, well, it was a nightmare. The source material describes blood absolutely everywhere. And there, unresponsive, was 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson. It was immediately, terrifyingly clear that this wasn't just a death. This was a violent homicide. So, once the crime scene is secure, investigators turn their attention to the first person they have, the man who made that panicked 911 call, the man who found Kayla's body. This is Rivalto Robinson. He tells police he's Kayla's boyfriend, or at least that they were messing around. And he tells them this harrowing story of how his concern just kept growing and growing all day, right up until he made that horrifying discovery. So Rivalto lays out this whole timeline for the cops. He says he last saw Kayla the night before. He'd been trying to call her, text her all morning, but got nothing. Eventually, her phone just went silent. He even drove by her apartment once, didn't see her car, so he left. But, that gut feeling, that sense that something was really wrong, it brought him back. This time, her car was there. He bangs on the door, gets no answer, tries the knob, and it's unlocked. He's the one who called 911, he's the one who did CPR with the operator on the phone guiding him. From his point of view, he's just the concerned boyfriend who stumbled into an absolute tragedy. Rivalto's story seems pretty straightforward, right? But as investigators know all too well, things are rarely what they seem. And here's the crucial point. Someone else had been there. Someone had visited Kayla in the dark, early hours of that morning. Okay, now we get to the piece of evidence that completely flips this case on its head. While the police are dealing with the chaos at the scene, they start talking to neighbors. And it turns out, one of them had a doorbell camera. And the footage from that camera, it is just bone-chilling. It shows the killer's calculated mindset. We're talking around 5 a.m., hours before Rivalto ever showed up. This camera captures a figure leaving Kayla's apartment. And the level of preparation is staggering. A wide-brimmed hat to block the view from above, a COVID mask, gloves. But here's the detail that says it all. The killer walked out wearing Kayla Hodgson's own clothes, a clear, deliberate attempt to fool anyone who might see them leaving. This wasn't some spontaneous act of rage. This was planned. So, who was this disguised figure? Well, the investigation starts to uncover a dark, obsessive motive. One that leads directly back to the man who found the body, Rivalto Robinson. The trail didn't lead police across town or even across the county. No, this trail led them over 1,000 miles away, all the way from Florida to Queens, New York. The killer had traveled a long, long way, and they traveled with a purpose. And in October of 2022, police made an arrest. The disguised figure was 28-year-old Sakania Thompson. And who was she? She was Rivalto Robinson's ex-girlfriend. The prosecutors laid out a motive that was as old as time. Thompson was obsessed, absolutely consumed by the fact that Rivalto was now seeing Kayla. Driven by jealousy, she flew from New York to Florida with one thing on her mind, confronting the woman she saw as her rival. So, when this case finally gets to trial, the courtroom is presented with two completely different versions of what happened inside that apartment. This is where the real legal battle begins. The prosecution, they're arguing this is a textbook case of premeditated first-degree murder. Plain and simple, all driven by jealousy. But the defense?
They make a pretty stunning claim. They admit Sakanya Thompson killed Kayla Hodgson, but they argue it wasn't murder, it was self-defense. They claimed a simple woman-to-woman conversation got out of hand, and Thompson was forced to defend herself.
But the prosecution came ready to tear that self-defense theory to shreds. Let's walk through their points. First off, she used a fake Uber account to get to the apartment. That shows planning. Second, there was evidence she actually tried to clean up the crime scene. Third, the whole disguise on the way out, wearing Kayla's clothes. Fourth, and this is a big one, if it was self-defense, why didn't she call 911 for help? She never did. And finally, when Thompson herself took the stand, she claimed she blacked out and couldn't remember the actual killing. A very convenient memory lapse that, let's just say, the jury had a hard time believing. So, the jury sides with the prosecution. They convict Sakanya Thompson of first-degree murder. But before she was sentenced, Kayla's family got the chance to face her killer face to face. Kayla's sisters stood up in that courtroom and asked a question that was on everyone's mind. It was just this powerful, raw moment. She asked, "What makes you think you can violate someone's right of human life and take it away and just live a normal life after as if nothing has happened?" And then the sheer brutality of the attack was just laid bare. The autopsy showed Kayla had been stabbed 37 times. Her sister connected every single one of those wounds to Thompson's intent, arguing that each one was a reason for a life sentence. And this is where Kayla's sister cuts right to the heart of the motive. She talks about Thompson stalking Kayla's Instagram, just eaten up with envy. She said, "That killed you so much you wanted to damage her face. That's why you did what you did." I mean, it is just a devastatingly personal look at the jealousy that fueled this whole thing.
And if there was any doubt left, any at all, the judge highlighted the final irrefutable piece of physical evidence. So Kenya Thompson, who actually owned a beauty business, had left her DNA under Kayla's fingernails. Kayla fought back against her attacker, and in doing that, she helped seal her killer's fate.
The judge said he had no discretion in the sentencing, and even if he did, he wouldn't have wanted any. He sentenced the Kenya Thompson to life in prison, with no possibility of parole. She will spend the rest of her life behind bars for what she did.
So, Sakanya Thompson is in prison. The legal system has delivered its version of justice. But for Kayla's family, the loss is just immeasurable. And it leaves us all with a pretty tough question, doesn't it? In a crime born from an obsession so powerful it can just erase a vibrant young life, what can justice ever really hope to give back?